More on this, let's bring in Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson, member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, many of your colleagues, many of my former colleagues, are blasting the appointment of David Weiss. Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan actually tweeting earlier today, let me get your take on this, quote, first, David Weiss said he didn't have the power he needed and wanted special counsel status. Then he said he had all the power he needs. Now, he gets special counsel status because he didn't really have the power he needs. Something's not right here, end quote. So, Congressman, what do you make of this appointment?
Sean, Jim is exactly right. Mr. Weiss changed his story 3 times in a matter of 5 weeks this summer. We have good reason not to believe in everything he says. And yes, it's true. We were asking for a special counsel to preside over the Hunter Biden matter early in the year. We've been asking for this for a long time, but not this individual. And the timing is so suspect because, you know, this follows right on the heels of Jamie Comer, our good friend Jamie Comer, who's the chairman of Oversight, saying on Maria Bartiromo's show that we were now going to subpoena the Bidens themselves. Something is not right here.
So, Mike, the Weiss office received that FBI 1023 form that basically alluded to the fact that both Joe and Hunter Biden received $5 million. They didn't do anything. We have the sweetheart deal where Hunter was charged with misdemeanors of tax evasion, which are normally felonies. The gun charge was also a deferred prosecution agreement. So it seems like the Department of Justice has appointed Weiss because he's shown loyalty to the Bidens, not that he's actually going to find the truth.
It looks as though he is part of the cover-up, the very cover-up that whistleblowers have come forward to complain about, to clear their own consciences. And we've been following this truth wherever it leads. The other problem here is, and the reason we're so suspect, is that Mr. Weiss may now come into the middle of our congressional investigations and say, oh, gee whiz, I'm sorry, we won't be able to turn over any of that information now because now it really is the subject of a special counsel. I mean, we had appointments set with Mr. Weiss himself. We had 11 transcribed interviews that are on the calendar now for folks associated with all this in the Weaponization Committee, in the Judiciary Committee, and Oversight. And so now the question is, what becomes of all that? Are they going to try to use this as some sort of evasion tactic? We don't trust what is happening in Merrick Garland's DOJ, and we have many good reasons not to.
Yeah, so for almost 9 years, the Department of Justice doesn't investigate Hunter Biden. And now all of a sudden, they're all into the investigation with special counsel. And to your point, Republicans, they're planning to subpoena the Biden crime family following the release of new bank records. Take a listen to House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, who you just referenced, on this program last night.
What we've done thus far is we've built a case, Larry, to be able to win in court when we subpoena the Biden's personal bank records. When you see the chart that shows China and the heirs through the shell companies to the Biden family members, or Russia and the heirs through the shell companies to the Biden family members, we think there's another arrow or two after it gets into the Biden personal bank accounts. And that's what we want to look at next.
So, Mike, how does the appointment of the special counsel impact your ability, the ability of the House to investigate the Biden crime family? You can still get documents, right, but you may not be able to access information from the Department of Justice? How does this play out?
Well, yeah, that's the big question. And we have more questions this evening than we have answers because we don't know how they're going to proceed. But, don't blame us for being skeptical. We have lots of reasons and lots of evidence to show that the DOJ and even the FBI and all the divisions under the Biden administration, Merrick Garland's DOJ, have been involved in assisting in the cover-up. They have impeded our investigations. They have tried to hide documents. They've stalled every way. We've had to come close to contempt charges, contempt of Congress charges on the FBI director himself on multiple occasions. And this is the game plan. And it looks to us like just one more play in that game. This is serious stuff, Sean, as you know. I mean, we're in uncharted waters as a nation. We've never had a level of scandal alleged for a White House like this. And so we have a constitutional responsibility to follow the truth where it leads. And we're going to continue to do that in earnest. We have to.
Well, you're doing the work in the Congress, what the Department of Justice, what the FBI should be doing themselves, and they refuse to. And I think it's hard for the Congress. You don't have all the tools, the investigative tools that the FBI has, which makes it that much more difficult. But when you have a Justice Department that doesn't seek justice, that, to your point, keeps trying to cover up for the Biden administration and potential Biden crimes, it makes it challenging. But there's been a lot of conversation about an impeachment inquiry. If you broaden the scope with an impeachment inquiry, will that give more answers? Does that give you more subpoena power, more power to get information to investigate the Bidens?
It does, Sean, and that's a really important question that everybody's asking us back home. We're on district work period, as you know, and I had 4 town halls in the last 2 days, and that's a big question on everybody's mind. One of the first questions asked, what about impeachment? Now, you heard Speaker McCarthy say before we left to come home to our districts that impeachment inquiry looks to be appropriate here. That's my personal view. I agree. And it would open a new round of subpoena power, of investigation power, and take it to the next level. And it would also, I think, maybe for the first time, require the mainstream media to cover all of this, because the most of them are involved in the cover-up as well. But that said, let me hasten to say, Sean, and you and I know you agree with this, next to declaring war, the impeachment power is one of the greatest powers that's wielded by the Congress. It's a very serious matter to us on the Republican side. And we said 1,000 times during the sham impeachments of President Trump that it's not to be used for political purposes. I want to make clear that's not what this is. We are following the truth where it leads. And I'll say this, bribery has been alleged against the President of the United States, okay? Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution lists bribery as the second cause for impeachment. If the evidence takes us there, Sean, we have no choice but to pursue that. And we owe that to the people and to the oath we took to the Constitution.
And I would agree. And if the FBI and the DOJ were willing to investigate these allegations and let us know what happened, I don't think you'd have to take that step. Or you don't have to take that step on the investigative front. You might impeach them if evidence was found, but they're not doing their job, and then, therefore, the Congress has to step in. I want to switch gears with you, Mike, because I want to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and I think yours as well. Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan says the FBI coordinated on a memo targeting some Catholic groups as potential terrorists, despite the FBI Director Chris Wray claiming on multiple occasions that memo originated from only one single office. Listen to this.
Your FBI wrote a memo talking about radical traditional Catholics. I'm just wondering if you could define it for us.
You're referring to the Richmond product, which was a single product by a single field office, which as soon as I found out about it, I was aghast. I will note it was a product by one field office. And when we found out about it, we took action.
But it didn't originate in one field office, Mike. It came from multiple offices. Are you guys going to continue to investigate this further? Are you going to impeach Christopher Wray? Because I look at this and go, one, he comes into Congress and is lying to you about all of the offices involved. It wasn't just Richmond. It was Portland and L.A. that we know about. But also, we have a First Amendment right to practice our religion and not be investigated by the FBI. Are you guys going to take further steps to look at this case and maybe investigate Christopher Wray?
Absolutely. It's infuriating. You just heard him in his own words. That was July 12th. He's under oath before our committee. And he said multiple times, single office. Well, 2 weeks later, we get an unredacted memo that we had to force by threatening contempt of Congress to uncover the real truth. And we found out, as you said, at least 2 other offices are involved. It was probably a whole of bureau approach. Either Christopher Wray lied to us under oath, or he has lost control of the Bureau. And Sean, either one of those scenarios is alarming and requires further investigation. And look, I think there are a number of cabinet officials now that have probably committed impeachable offenses. But we only have so much ammo and so much time. And so we're having to, in a target-rich environment like this, we're having to do our duty as best we can. And it is a great challenge right now.
Well, it is. And to think that the great offenses by Latin Mass Catholics would be that they have a disdain for Pope Francis, or they question the Second Vatican Council, or they're criticizing pro-choice advocates on Twitter. Those are the offenses now, which is free speech, that this FBI wants to go after. It's outrageous. Mike Johnson, I hope you guys stick on this and make sure you're holding our government accountable, but also continuing to protect our First Amendment. I appreciate you joining me, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, my friend.